how to get a mathematics education degree in as little as 1 year. That's what this video is gonna be all about. I'm gonna be going over how you can get a mathematics education degree in terms of the time you're enrolled in a particular school in as little as 1 year. And the school I'm gonna talk about today is going to be WGU, or Western Governors University. Now, WGU is a competency-based education model. Basically, what that means is instead of being like a traditional school where they sort of make everybody fit into that 4-year model, which actually turns out to be 5.1 years on average to get a bachelor's degree in the United States, they test people based on their competency. So if you're somebody who's motivated, you wanna work ahead and finish your degree really quickly, WGU can be a great option. Now, there are other universities that you can use these methods that I'm gonna talk about in this video, and I'll go over those universities later on in the video. And until recently, I only revealed these methods to paid customers, basically my consulting clients. But recently I posted 2 videos about this subject. It got a lot of interest. A lot of people wanted me to make a series on it. So that's what I'm doing right here. And these methods can seriously save you something like 3 to 4 years of your time, something like $70,000 to $80,000. You also don't have to quit your job. You can do this on the side while you're still working in your job. You don't have to move across the country or anything like that. And the best thing is it saves you a ton of opportunity cost. So you are able to graduate with a degree in about 1 to 2 years, whereas somebody else is likely going to be accumulating debt during that time. So while they are accumulating debt, you are going to be making money. So this can be a phenomenal option for a ton of people out there. So if you appreciate me dropping this knowledge on you, go ahead, gently tap that like button, and let's jump into it. All right, so this is a 4-step process, and you need to pay close attention to each step, right? You don't want to skip any of these steps or else it's going to take you longer to do the entire process. Now, the first step is going to be for you to transfer in your existing classes and credits. Now, WGU is one of those schools that makes this entire process of transferring in credits extremely easy. They transfer in all the normal stuff like AP, IB classes during high school, college credit, CLEP exams, all that sort of thing. And then on top of that, they're also going to let you transfer in some cases, certifications and certificates, work experience, and military experience. So take your time on this step. Don't do it too fast. Make sure you get all of your experience, your transcript, etc. together and send that into your WGU counselor. And then they're gonna send you back a list of classes that you still have to take. And at this point, you're gonna move on to step 2, which is by far the most important step. And this is where you are going to test out of a bunch of the classes using third-party companies. Now, the 3 third-party companies that I recommend you do this with are going to be study.com, sophia.org, and straighterline.com. And I actually like them in that order. And the reason you're gonna use third-party companies instead of just enrolling in WGU right off the bat is simply because they are cheaper, faster, and easier. So even if you're working a full-time job, you're super busy, you can very easily test out of like 1 class per week using study.com. And many of my students have tested out of like 1 class per day, sometimes even more than that. And this is especially true for those entry-level, easier classes. Now, for this particular degree, there's actually quite a few classes. You have to take 44 courses to finish the degree. And this particular education degree is the mathematics education secondary degree. So this is where you would basically be teaching like high school mathematics. So I made a special cheat sheet for you that makes this entire process ridiculously easy. Although WGU is a phenomenal school, it's in their best interest for you to not be able to transfer in a bunch of classes, right? Because when you don't transfer in a bunch of classes, you're probably going to be enrolled at WGU for a longer period of time, and they're going to end up making more money, right? So they don't make the process ridiculously easy like this cheat sheet, which I will link down in the description as well as the pinned comment below, does. Now, some people get really fancy with these methods, like they'll take, 5 classes at study.com, another 5 classes at sophia.org, and 1 class at Straighterline and stuff like that. And if you want to, you can do that as well. It might save you like a few hours of time here and there. But for me, I've just found that just keeping it simple is best for my students. And myself and other people that know a lot about these methods say that study.com is the easiest. It's the most straightforward. You're actually gonna learn something. The UI is really good. And it's just kind of a frictionless process to transfer that into WGU. So after you're done with the study.com classes, go ahead, transfer them into your counselor, and they will send you the remaining classes that you have left. And at this point, you're gonna move on to step number 3, which a lot of people skip and they really shouldn't, and that is pre-study the remaining classes. Now, the reason you are going to pre-study the classes that you have left is very simply because your goal is to only be enrolled in WGU itself for 2 terms, right? So first term and then and second term. That is your goal. You want to try to finish the entire process in those 2 terms. And when you pre-study the classes, that's going to allow you to get through those classes as fast as possible. And each term is somewhere around $4,000. It's different for the different majors, but I believe it's about $4,000 for this degree. So realistically, you can graduate with a degree while only spending $8,000. And in many cases, you're going to get grants, scholarships, and funding. So all the time, people are graduating without actually going into debt, or in some cases, not spending any money at all out of pocket. Now, you definitely want to get a hold of the WGU curriculum, of course, but once you do that and you know what you need to study, my 2 favorite resources for you to use are going to be 1, the WGU subreddits, and 2, the WGU Facebook groups. And the reason for this is because these are real people who are going through the classes or just went through the classes, and they share tips, tricks, strategies, etc. to study for these classes as fast as possible, and then also pass the tests. Now, there's lots of other free resources online that you can use. You've got YouTube and Google, of course. You've got Khan Academy, they're great. There's really cheap resources like Udemy. You can get online textbooks as well. Or if you're a physical textbook type of person, you can order one of those that's a few years old for like 20 bucks. But yeah, definitely don't skip this step because it's likely gonna save you thousands of dollars. Once you feel confident, go ahead, move on to step number 4, which is you are going to enroll in WGU and knock the classes out as fast as you possibly can. So this is where you would finally contact your enrollment counselor, tell them you're finally ready to enroll, and you take those classes as quickly as you can. Now remember, getting a bachelor's degree in the United States takes on average about 5.1 years. I have personally worked with students before who took 7 years to get an education bachelor's degree. And this is because a lot of traditional colleges, because of the fact they want to make more money, they will make arbitrary little things that make the degrees take longer. So for instance, you have to take class A before you take class B, and class B before you take class C, and class D before you take class E, and class D is only available in the spring semester, and class C is only available in the summer semester, and all kinds of weird stuff like that. So if you are able to realistically, in the time you're enrolled, knock it out in 1 year, and then a little bit of extra time to do the study.com and the transfer in process, that is super fast. So let's say you take like maybe a year or a year and a half to do this entire process. That saves you a ton of time, effort, and money. So the overall strategy summary here is 1, you're gonna go ahead and transfer in your existing credits. 2, you are going to test out of classes using third-party companies. 3, you are going to pre-study the remaining courses. And 4, you're gonna enroll in WGU and knock those classes out as fast as you possibly can. So now I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the cheat sheet and go through this entire process step by step and give you an example of what it would look like for you. All right, so now we are inside of the cheat sheet, and I'll quickly go over everything so you kind of understand what it is. So on the far left here, you have the IDs, and these are basically the class IDs. In this column here, you have the names of the classes at WGU. In this column, you have the amount of units in each class. And then this is probably the most important column, and that is the study.com classes that you can take in order to transfer in to WGU. So kind of just to break this down, English 104 at study.com, which is the 0057 class there, will transfer in for English Composition 1. And if you click this, it will take you straight to the study.com class. So it makes it all just stupidly easy for you. Now, another thing here is straighter line, for instance, this class right here is not offered at study.com. So we went ahead and put that in for straighter line. And we will try to keep this updated in the future as well. So if there are any classes that Sophia or straighter line offer that study.com doesn't offer, or if study.com offers more classes, we will try to keep this sheet updated. So definitely keep looking back on it. And then also, since Sophia is really good as well as study.com, we may put in the Sophia classes for certain degrees as well. Now we're gonna go ahead and just go through step by step, all 4 of the steps that we would do. So step 1, of course, is transfer in existing credits. In this particular case, we will say that, you know, we're just making this up obviously, but let's just say that you took AP biology during high school, so you're able to transfer that class in. You also took AP calculus during high school, so you transferred that in. Then you took 1 semester of community college, so you're able to transfer in communications, art, the other biology class, astronomy as well. And so you went ahead, you transferred all those in. And one thing I will say here is if you don't have any classes to transfer in, don't worry, because basically it's gonna maybe save you like an extra week because it's so easy to actually test out of these classes using study.com. So not that big of a deal. But at this point, you'd move on to step 2, which is the test out phase. So you would go ahead and you'd start testing out of all the classes that you can using study.com, Straighterline, or Sophia. So in this particular case, you are able to test out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 classes. That's not bad. And so you'd go ahead, test out of these classes, and this is what it would look like afterwards. So your enrollment counselor would likely send you back a sheet that looks very similar to this. So you pretty much don't even have to wait because you have this. And then you would start pre-studying these remaining classes. So the reason that you want to pre-study again is because it's going to save you a lot of time once you enroll. And if you don't have too much time to pre-study all the classes, make sure you at least pre-study some of the harder ones. But after you feel confident, you're going to go ahead and move on to step number 4, which is you'll enroll in WGU and knock these classes out as fast as you can. And then you'll move on to step 5, which is you will get your degree. Then you'll move on to step 6, which is you'll brag to all of your friends and family that you were able to graduate in 1 year with a bachelor's degree. And hopefully, if you're nice, you will send them this video so they can graduate in 1 year as well. So yeah, WGU as well as schools like it are awesome. There are some other really good options. Another school I really like is Thomas Edison State University. Excelsior can be really good as well. Southern New Hampshire University can be good depending on the degree you're trying to get. But with that being said, WGU is not for everybody, right? There's always going to be pros and cons to everything in life, and WGU does have its cons. So for instance, it is completely remote and it's online. Now that's great because it's flexible and you can do it in your free time, but if you're the type of person who cannot concentrate or pay attention taking online classes, then maybe it's not going to be for you. Another thing that is a little bit lacking, of course, is the network. When something is fully remote, you're not going to really have the same network as you would, or potential network anyways, as you would if it was kind of like an in-person class. So definitely check out this video I did breaking down the pros and cons of WGU to make sure that it's for you. And I also give some alternatives to WGU that are similar, but they might be better. So definitely check that out right here.